Hey everybody, this video was inspired by watching the global meditation that occurred last night for a whole bunch of different things, it seems like. But if I were to encapsulate it, ideally, hopefully it's for, world peace and yeah, many other things, we'll say. But what it did remind me of is just how to make prayer effective. Making anything we do with an intention have impact. And I think this is what is most important for most people if they're going to put their effort into anything. It's like, okay, how do I make it actually manifest in the world? And it's interesting because when I met my teacher and was taught this particular meditation technique, there was a piece at the end, and it was about imagining a cord going down 3 meters or 10 feet into the earth. And we would send the excess energy from the meditation down into the earth. And it's interesting because as I started to learn magical principles and started to see the inner workings of actually why we did that, makes me just have even more and more respect for this particular teacher. It shows me that he really understands the workings of the inner world. And this is a bit what I want to share with you today. So if we were to imagine the world, and not just the physical world, but the whole thing. And of course, you can break it up into 1,000 different divisions if you want to. But really, there's no firm barriers between anything. Everything's fluid. But if we were to have to break it down into something easy to understand, we could say that there's like a divine realm. This realm where non-dual understanding permeates, where the gods are in their highest emanation, the place of the origin of all things, what creates the world that we understand now. And there's the thunder. And then we could say there's an ethereal realm, a realm where it's full of the elements. Let's see, the origin of the subtle energies, the fire, the air, the earth, the water, the planetary bodies, the angels, the gods, their goddess in their lower emanations, like in the Greek mythology when they battle each other. And in a human realm, it's like our thought, our logic, our higher thought, you could say, like our intuition, our clairvoyance, these sorts of higher understandings. And then we have the material realm, where we've got all non-living and living beings, and that ethereal substance that kind of connects us to the world of prana, the world of chi. And so all of these three are important. And a human level, actually in the last part, we could also say it's our human emotion and our lower mechanistical thought, So when we start to do things to create impact in the world, some people love to pray, and they use prayer a lot, all the time. I pray, 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 pray. And this is great, but it's really affecting, it's this one realm where we're trying to impact the other realms as well. So usually prayer in a collective sense, like if you do a big global prayer, this is where it actually starts to have impact. My teacher used to say that, 7 people meditating at one time is like 100 people meditating by themselves, like the crown chakra opens up quite large. So something like a global meditation does have impact. But I'm curious as to how to make it have even more impact. And I think this is where the other 2 realms that I'm talking about come into play. And then there's some people that spend a lot of time really focusing or channeling energy into like a mental object and then putting the mental object somewhere. For example, we had a technique where we were supposed to charge up a particular thing that we create with our mind and throw it out to the universe, which is great if your mind is super sharp. So if you can really visualize that thing going there and you can see the place and the colors and you can absolutely visualize it and nail it and your mind's really clear, you're a good magician. But for a lot of people, their mind isn't that developed. They get a bit distracted, they throw it, they forget about it, and then it kind of dissipates into the ether and it doesn't really have much effect. a little bit of effect, but not a lot. Then there's people who buy a whole bunch of really powerful magical objects, like my selenite sword and all these things, but they haven't taken the time to learn about how to really charge it and put power into it, how to charge the planetary forces, or these sorts of things where they understand particular timings and particular correspondences and how to make something really charged and have impact. So you've got this material object, but it doesn't have any juju, doesn't have any force, right? So this is what kind of happens, and this is why a lot of things don't really manifest. It's like we don't have that understanding that all of these three forces have to come together. Yes, there has to be a wisdom, that understanding of the non-dual world, and the dual one as well. But there also has to be that power to be able to charge something up. And then there has to be the target. Where are we sending it? Where are we directing it? So I think in terms of even the global meditation on an individual level, if we were to, as an example, this is just an idea, but if we were to have done all that work, but then have something physical with us in the meditation, and I'm sure there's some people that were doing this that have an understanding of this, but for those of you who don't, what if you were to have a handful of rocks that you held with you during that meditation and you charged them up, or a stick of incense or something physical, a physical matter. And then once you were finished, you take it out into the world and place these rocks somewhere on the physical earth so that this intention can manifest in the physical world. So I think it's important anytime we're doing something is to have those three elements in mind. Am I in prayer? Do I also understand how to collect and gather and harness energy? And this is what I'm trying to share a little bit with these videos, is how do I pull this energy in? How do I create the energy to have it to put into something? And then how am I directing that energy? What am I putting it into? What's the material part of the equation? So going back to that meditation that I talked about at the beginning, that's what the teacher was doing. In the meditation, we do a lot of work to charge ourselves. Some meditations more than others, but we've got this prayer element of connecting to a higher power, learning how to harness the energies in our body, but then when we're finished, to put peace into the world, to put love into the world, to put kindness into the world. It's like putting it down, visualizing it, and actually touching and connecting the ground. These are the three elements, and that's why I think that meditation is so powerful and has spread all over the world. My teacher understood how to manifest. So thanks everybody for listening, and may your prayers make magic.